Heartwarming tale. Waitress discovers hidden symptoms in Billionaire, changing his life forever. On a dark, rainy Tuesday morning, Emma served coffee and warmth like a beloved old friend to the regulars at the Green Bean Diner. Her smile was bright against the gray backdrop, even as the rain tapped insistently on the windows, sprinkling the town in sadness. Nearly 20 years poured into this diner, her sanctuary amid the economic struggles that had gripped the small Midwestern town like a vice. Yet, Emma, a single mother to 7-year-old Jake, found her joy in each steaming mug and slice of homemade pie. Everyone knew her name, and she knew theirs, each story, each laughter, each sorrow. But everything shifted when a well-dressed stranger waltzed in, the door swinging wide against the storm. Robert. He looked polished and tension-filled. A casual observer might mistake him for a mannequin if not for the anxiety etched in the lines of his brow and the slight tremor in his hands. The chatter in the diner quieted. Emma felt it, a spark of something deeper beneath his perfectly tailored suit, and unease, a struggle hidden behind the cool veneer of his wealth and privilege. "Can I get you something to drink?" she asked, her warm voice breaking the silence, and his eyes flickered towards her, revealing a glimpse of vulnerability. He opted for black coffee, no sugar, and for a moment, Emma felt an irresistible urge to peel back the layers surrounding him. There was a bond, a connection hovering in the air, waiting to be embraced. Days turned to weeks, and Robert kept returning, drawn not only to the homey vibe of the diner, but to Emma's fierce spirit. The more she revealed about her struggles of juggling 2 jobs, facing eviction, striving to build a better future for Jake, the more he opened up. His confessions poured like her coffee, warm against the coldness of his life. There was isolation in his wealth, a crushing pressure to maintain his status. He didn't just listen, he began to understand. Just as they were witnessing their unique friendship blossom, tragedy struck. Whispers spread that the Green Bean was on the brink of closing. Emma's heart plummeted. Memories of shared laughter, birthdays celebrated over slices of pie, and the warmth of her community engulfed her. With every ounce of her love for that diner, she organized a fundraiser, her own act of defiance against the tide pulling them under. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. As the event day drew near, tension crackled in the air. Emma's resilience clashed with Robert's internal conflict. The townsfolk gathered around Emma like a family shield, each of their faces reflecting love and worry. But Robert lingered at the edges, grappling with a choice that stretched deep within him. His wealth and isolation stood as barriers to true connection, yet the humanity he saw in Emma's fight tugged at his heart. Would he finally embrace a path that could alter not just the fate of the diner, but the core of his own existence? The answers hung like a storm cloud, heavy and tense, waiting for a flash of lightning to break through. As Emma looked into the crowd, she felt something big was about to happen, something that would resonate beyond the diner and into their lives forever. The night of the fundraiser arrived, shrouding the diner in an electric mix of excitement and dread. Twinkling fairy lights adorned the windows, their warm glow casting a surreal shadow against the backdrop of rain pattering softly on the glass. The smell of Emma's famous chili wafted through the air, mingling with sugary notes of pie and coffee, inviting patrons to gather as one. Emma stood behind the counter, her heart racing. She couldn't shake the feeling that tonight was more than just about saving the diner. It felt like a turning point, a moment that could redefine everything, not only for her, but for Robert as well. She glanced toward the entrance, hoping to catch his eye, but a knot tightened in her stomach. Would he show? As the clock ticked closer to 6, the diner filled with townsfolk. Regulars exchanged familiar greetings, laughter bubbling up like old memories, drowning out the soft hum of anxiety in Emma's chest. She greeted every newcomer, putting on her bravest face, but the lingering worry about Robert gnawed at her. Finally, just as a hush enveloped the room, Robert stepped inside. He looked different, shedding the artificial armor of his tailored suit, wearing a simple black sweater that softened his sharp features. His eyes, usually clouded with tension, sparkled as he took in the sight before him. The community, once just a blur behind his wealth, had transformed into something vibrant and real. "Emma," he said, finding her easily among the crowd. There was a gentleness in his tone that brought a flutter to her heart. She felt seen, truly seen, for the first time in a long while. He moved through the crowd, mingling with faces he had only glimpsed before. Emma watched as he talked, sharing laughter and smiles. It was like he was shedding a layer of himself, revealing the warmth that had been buried deep under responsibility. For every joke shared, another piece of his aloofness faded away. The evening unfolded with much gusto, dishes flying out of the kitchen, laughter ringing through the diner, and the sounds of old friends reconnecting, creating a tapestry of shared experiences. Emma felt a sense of pride wash over her. This was their community, a patchwork of love and history. As the night wore on, it was time for Emma to make her speech. With trembling hands, she approached the small makeshift stage at the back of the diner. The crowd fell silent, eyes focused solely on her. She could feel the weight of their hopes resting on her shoulders. "Everyone," she began, her voice quaking. "I just want to thank you all for being here. This diner isn't just a building. It's a part of who we are. Every memory made here pulses with love. And I want to keep it alive." Her heart swelled as she looked at Robert, who stood among the crowd, his expression filled with encouragement. With each word that fell from her lips, she poured her heart out, revealing her vulnerabilities, dreams, and fears. It was as if she was unlocking something inside Robert too. She saw him leaning forward, listening intently, absorbing every bit of her truth. As she wrapped up, tears glistened in her eyes. "Together, we can save this place. It represents hope, resilience. It represents all of us." The applause erupted like a wave, each clap resonating with love and support. But amidst the cheers, Robert's gaze intensified. He stepped forward, the crowd opening up around him. "Emma," he said, his voice steady yet soft, "I want to help. I think I can do more than I ever thought possible." And in that moment, with the world bustling around them, the air thick with possibility, everything felt different. But Emma could sense there was more he wanted to say. Something important hung between them. What truth would he reveal, and would it be the key to uniting both their lives forever? Emma held her breath as Robert stepped closer, the warmth from the crowd dissipating into the space between them. His serious expression sent ripples of apprehension through her, yet a spark of hope flickered in her heart. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said tonight," he began, his gaze unwavering. "About community, and this diner being more than just a place. It feels like I've been running away from something, and I didn't even know it." The way he spoke struck her deeply. She watched him carefully, catching the subtle tremor in his voice, and felt her chest tighten. What was he trying to say? Words tumbled out of him, each one laced with raw honesty. "I've always focused on building my empire, but I forgot what it felt like to be connected, to be part of something bigger. The people in this diner, they've shown me that." A silence hung between them, brimming with unspoken emotions. Emma felt the truth of his statement wash over her. His transformation was unfolding right before her eyes, and it was beautiful. She took a step closer, her heart racing. "You're not just a businessman, Robert. You're a part of this community now. With us." He nodded slowly, as if her words made sense of the chaos swirling in his mind. I want to invest in this diner, he declared, his voice steadying. Not just money. I want to help create a space that brings everyone together. I want to be here. To make things right. The room erupted in conversation. Surprise and excitement infused the air. Emma's heart soared. He was reaching for something tangible, something real. The path ahead shimmered, but a flicker of unease danced at the edges of her mind. What about your life before? She asked quietly. Your obligations, the other world you belong to? He stepped closer, the weight of his past lingering in his eyes. That's what I'm afraid of, Emma. Leaving it behind feels like letting go of everything I've worked for, but perhaps what I've been working for is not what I truly want. Her chest tightened again. The essence of these unspoken fears felt familiar. She had faced her own decisions in the feared prospect of change. They were both on a precipice, staring into the unknown. Robert's phone buzzed in his pocket, jolting him back to reality. He pulled it out, glancing at the screen with a hint of dread on his face. It's my father. He is not going to take this well, he muttered, voice shaky. Emma's heart sank. She could see it in his eyes, the weight of expectation, the burden of proving himself. It wasn't just the diner at stake. It was Robert's entire identity grappling with transformation. Whatever happens, you have to be true to yourself, Emma urged, feeling the pull between fear and courage, uncertainty and possibility. You deserve to be happy. Robert stared at her, an intensity igniting between them. Will you stand by me, no matter what? I don't know where this leads, but I want to navigate this with you. Emma held his gaze, every ounce of her own truth echoing back to him. Yes, I'll be here. But even as the words left her lips, a small voice whispered doubt. Was she ready for the storm that could follow, especially if it meant confronting his world of privilege and influence? With that uncertainty hanging heavy in their hearts, they stood as the ground beneath their feet shifted, knowing they were both at a critical crossroads. What would that mean for their futures, and how far would they have to go to find a balance between love and the life they had known? The buzzing of Robert's phone lingered in the air, the weight of his father's name pressing down on them. Emma could sense a shift in the atmosphere, like the calm before a storm. Robert's expression hardened, eyes flicking back to the screen, a battle waging behind them. Should I answer? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Emma could see the internal struggle playing out, the son drawn back to an old life, yet yearning to embrace the new. Only if you feel ready, she replied, her voice softer than before. The truth was, she didn't want his father's shadow to loom over this moment. But she also understood the complexity of family ties. He took a deep breath, his fingers hovering over the screen, as if it would reveal answers to questions he hadn't even thought to ask. What if he doesn't understand? The vulnerability in his tone shook Emma. She reached out and rested her hand on his arm, grounding him just a little. You're not just running a diner, Robert. You're creating a home, she assured him. That's something worth explaining. He nodded, but still, uncertainty lingered across his face. The moment stretched, taut with unspoken words and choices. Finally, with a slight frown, he clicked to open the message. His thumb hesitated just for a moment before he read aloud, Dad says he wants to talk. He is in town and insists on meeting with me tonight. Emma could see the stark worry etched into his features. Are you going to go? She inquired, the question feeling heavy as it hung between them. I don't know, he murmured, glancing toward the door, as if the exit could offer him an escape. The crowd, now buzzing with excitement and laughter, was almost mocking in its normalcy. It's just one conversation, she said gently, trying to ease the tension. But it could bring clarity. Maybe you can show him the changes you've made. What if he only sees the old me? Robert's voice dropped, fear slipping through the cracks. What if he doesn't think I can have this life? What if he tries to pull me back into his world? Wasn't he just afraid of an angry father? He was terrified of losing the connection they had forged in the diner. Emma tightened her grip on his arm, offering silent support. Robert, you are not that man anymore. This place has changed you for the better. No one can take that away. He looked at her, hope mingling with doubt in his eyes. Do you really think so? I know so. Each word felt firm, filled with the warmth of all the late-night talks and shared laughter within these walls. This diner is a part of you now. Show him that. After a beat, he straightened, the weight on his shoulders lessening. Okay. I'll do it. I'll face him. The determination in his voice stirred something deep inside Emma. She felt a surge of pride as Robert began to turn away, ready to step into the unknown. He stopped suddenly, looking back at her. Will you come with me? The question caught her off guard. Fear bubbled in her chest. Could she face the world he came from? A world of expectations and judgment? But looking into his eyes, she saw only vulnerability and openness. Yes, she said, voice steady. I'll be by your side. As they exited the diner, fighting through nerves and uncertainty, Emma felt an exhilarating mix of courage and apprehension. They both took a step into the unknown, ready to brave the storm. Yet she couldn't shake a feeling that the confrontation they were heading to might change everything. What if this meeting revealed more than just Robert's family expectations? What if they uncovered truths that shook their foundations? Emma glanced at Robert, who was resolute yet uneasy. Love could be a powerful tool, but would it be enough to withstand the pressures they were about to face? The drive through town felt longer than usual, each passing streetlight and familiar storefront a reminder of the life Robert once knew. Emma stole glances at him, noticing the way his hands flexed on the steering wheel, the subtle tension in his shoulders. She wished she could reach out and ease that tension, but the gravity of the situation kept them both focused forward. I can't believe we're actually doing this, he said, his voice low, almost lost amidst the soft hum of the engine. Me neither, Emma replied, her heart racing with both excitement and dread. Just remember, you're stronger than you think. Robert nodded, but the doubt still flickered in his eyes. The truth was, this wasn't just about proving himself to his father. It was about their future. The possibility of what lay ahead made her stomach twist with a mix of hope and fear. As they pulled up to the restaurant where Robert's father insisted on meeting, the grandeur of the place almost made her gasp. It felt light years away from their cozy diner, laden with upscale decor that seemed to whisper about success and power. This is where he lives, Robert muttered, and she sensed the weight of his thoughts. We'll be okay, she reassured him, though uncertainty gnawed at her. They stepped inside and were greeted by an atmosphere that buzzed with the clinking of glasses and low murmurs. It was an enchanting facade, but she could see how it made Robert's skin crawl. He faltered for a moment, the old insecurities creeping in, but she squeezed his hand, grounding him. Look, we'll just talk. We're not here to convince anyone of anything, she said, her voice firm yet comforting. Robert took a breath and led the way toward a discreet booth in the corner, as if he wanted to shield himself from the weight of the place. Sipping on water, he scanned the room, his body tense under the linen of his shirt. What if he doesn't see the changes? He whispered, his anxiety palpable. He will, Emma said with conviction. He'll see the man you become. Just remember, it's okay to be proud of what you built. Robert's eyes flicked back to the entrance just as a familiar figure emerged. His father, sharp in a tailored suit that seemed to swallow him whole, scanned the room until his gaze locked onto Robert. The air shifted. Emma felt it hit her like a cold wave. The quiet confidence of her own feelings wavered as Robert's father approached, towering in both stature and expectation. Robert, he greeted, his voice devoid of warmth. Dad, Robert replied, steadying himself. Emma could feel the tension crackle in the air. Words were forming, unspoken defenses and hesitations, and she knew they were both about to face something monumental. Robert's father gestured to the opposite side of the booth. "You've certainly selected an interesting place to meet. Is this where you've chosen to hide?" Robert straightened, a spark igniting in his eyes. "It's not hiding, Dad. It's building something real." And just like that, the layers began to peel back. Emma held her breath, ready to witness the unfolding of this family drama which could either bind them tighter or fracture them irreparably. Behind their words, Emma felt the weight of unraveling truths, questions lodged deep within them all. Would Robert emerge from this meeting unscathed or transformed, reshaping their future? As the conversation deepened, tension rose. Emma's heart raced, knowing that every answer could shift the ground between them. And as Robert's voice steadied, she wondered, could they not just confront the past, but also embrace the future? What hidden complexities lay beneath the surface of this family reunion? What if this was just the beginning of a much larger journey, one that would change everything? Robert's hands gripped the booth's edge, knuckles white against the polished wood. The din of the restaurant faded into the background, leaving only the low thrum of his heart eclipsing all else. Emma watched as his gaze locked onto his father, the tension between them almost tangible. Building something real? His father's expression twisted into a sneer. "You think running a small bar makes you a man? You think you can turn your back on what we built for you?" Robert's breath hitched. "Dad, it's not about abandoning the past. It's about creating my own path. Something I'm proud of." Emma could see the tremor in Robert's hands, felt the need for validation spilling from him. It was a battle against years of his father's expectations. She leaned in slightly, wanting to bridge the distance between them. "Mr. Ross," she interjected, her voice steady yet warm. "Robert's worked hard to make a life for himself. I believe that deserves recognition." His father glanced at her, an eyebrow raised. "And you are?" "Emma, I'm a part of Robert's life." It felt like an ambiguous declaration under the scrutinizing gaze of a man who demanded accolades and success instead of earnestness. "Ah, bringing in a friend to speak for you? Clever move." The sarcasm dripped from his tone like melting ice, and she could sense Robert's frustration simmering just beneath the surface. "No, Dad. Emma's not speaking for me. She believes in me." Robert's voice was unwavering now, unshaken by his father's dismissiveness. "That's something I haven't had in a long time." The older man's jaw tightened, a flash of something anger, shame crossing his face before he buried it under a hard mask. "You think she's enough to change my opinion? I'm not impressed by sentimental tales or misplaced ambition." Emma felt Robert's frustration crackle, the air thick with an energy that had been building for far too long. "It's not just about you, Dad. It's my life," he shouted, a burst of fire in his tone. The words hung for a moment between them, and Emma reeled from the force of the moment. Silence crept in, wrapping around the table. She could see the flicker of feelings in Robert's eyes, a mixture of anger and hope. His father scoffed, recovering his composure. "Your life? What you've created is far from a legacy. A legacy deserves respect. Right now, you've given me nothing to feel proud of." Emma watched Robert consume this statement, like a heavy stone dropped in an ocean of achievements he desperately wanted to reclaim. She felt the inevitability of this moment, the weight of it pressing against the corners of the room, forcing them all to confront scars that ran deep. "I'm not here to earn your respect," Robert said, his tone softening, but still fierce. "I'm here to show you that I'm more than just your son. I'm a man who deserves to define his own legacy." The room vibrated with their words, the weight of a generation of expectations seemingly heavier than the ornate chandeliers above. Emma felt hope rising, tempered by despair. She sensed Robert wouldn't let this encounter consume him, but what if it defined them both? Then, unexpectedly, his father took a long, deep breath. Maybe you just don't understand what it takes to earn respect, he said, his voice quieter now, as if the harshness began to ripple away. Emma's heart quickened. Was this the opening Robert needed? Could rebuilding that father-son bond happen right here, right now? The dining room faded back in as she braced for whatever came next. She caught Robert's eyes, their meaning clear. They were in this together. As the moment hung tinsel between them, one question lingered on her mind. Was this the beginning of reconciliation, or would they find themselves lost in the shadows of unresolved feelings, trapped by an unforgiving history? The silence stretched on, a fragile thread suspended between Robert and his father. Emma's heart raced, caught in the middle of their unspooling tension. She could almost hear the unspoken words hang like ghostly echoes over their booth, each fraught with years of disappointment. "Dad, I know I've made choices you don't agree with," Robert continued, the sincerity in his voice cutting through the tension. "But I have to live with them. I have to love what I do, or it doesn't mean a thing." His father shifted, unease creeping into his usually imposing demeanor. Emma leaned closer, as if the decimals of distance counted. She noticed the small flickers of emotions playing on the older man's face, uncertain yet deeply rooted in something familiar. "Love?" his father scorned, though the bite in his tone lacked its usual edge. "Love one to pay your bills, or build a future. You think those feelings are enough?" With a sharp intake of breath, Robert replied, "Maybe they're more than enough. I'd rather be happy pouring drinks in a bar I own than managing a company I hate. Why can't you see that it's for your own good? I gave you the world. This talk of happiness, it's naivety disguised as passion. Good intentions don't build empires. Is that all you care about?" The question reverberated, no longer angry but worn with exhaustion. "An empire? What about family? What about me?" The restaurant buzzed around them, but Robert and his father became a microcosm of tension and yearning, drawing curious glances from nearby tables. Emma felt the heat blur her vision, her fingers tightening around her glass of water, bracing against the heaviness in the air. Finally, Robert's father, perhaps for the first time, lowered his voice. "You talk as if legacy isn't built on hard work and sacrifice." Emma dared to meet his gaze, willing to intervene. "Mr. Ross, you've sacrificed a great deal for Robert. But sometimes legacies can also mean supporting the dreams of those we love, even if they don't align with our own." The older man's face shifted slightly, an unusual crack in his armor. For just a moment, Emma saw a flash of vulnerability. It was as if a dam was about to burst. But then he averted his gaze, his walls snapping shut again. "Emma, you don't know the first thing about a family's name," he said, the steel returning to his tone. "You're only a distraction for Robert. He wakes up every morning to carry this family's name, not to play bartender." "Why can't it be both?" Robert interjected, desperate. "I want to carry the name, Dad. Just on my own terms. Can't you hear that?" There was a long pause. Emma held her breath, praying for a flicker of acceptance or an understanding that they could carve out their own identities within a shared legacy. But the older man's eyes were distant, rigid beyond reach. "I don't know what else to tell you," his father said slowly, frustration dulled by an exhaustion that lingered far below the surface. "I guess you'll have to find out for yourself." Out of nowhere, Robert's voice cracked, filled with something other than anger. "What if I fail? Is there any way to salvage that?" It was a raw, unguarded question that seemed to unearth years of buried ambitions. Emma could see the truth in Robert's eyes, that ugly doubt flashing like a beacon. He locked his gaze onto his father, desperately searching for something, anything. His father held still for a heartbeat, something shifting behind his inscrutable exterior. But that glimmer faded into nothingness as he turned away, lost in his own indecision. "Leave it be," he clipped, and as if a body blow had been landed, Robert visibly recoiled. The moment passed like a falling star, leaving behind a void of unspoken grief and a shared silence of possibilities that might never unfold. Emma clenched her fists, determination brewing within her. They weren't done yet. She could feel the weight of these moments pressing down, thickening the air, but somewhere within that heaviness lay a fragile thread of hope. "Robert," she whispered, giving him a reassuring nod. "You'll find your way. We all will." They shared a glance, a flicker of resilience that ignited before the weight set back in. With uncertainty resting heavy in the air, it was clear before any changes could take place, they needed to confront more than just a stubborn legacy. As Robert's father stood, readying to leave, Emma felt a fresh wave of urgency rise within her. Was there still time for one last plea, one final chance to spark the reluctant dialogue that could lead to healing? "Sir, wait," she started, her heart racing, her voice barely above a whisper. Would her intervention bridge the gap or plunge them deeper into silence? Robert's father paused at the edge of their booth, his demeanor taut as he turned back, shoulders squared but a flicker of curiosity dancing across his face. Emma took a breath, grounding herself in that fleeting moment. "Sir, I know things between you and Robert are strained right now," she said, keeping her voice steady despite the weight in the air. "But don't you want to understand his dreams? Don't you want to hear him out one last time before you walk away?" The older man scrutinized her, his expression a mix of paternal instinct and skepticism. Emma felt the heat of his gaze and pressed forward, emboldened by the need for resolution. "Being a father isn't just about forging a path for your son. It's also about listening to the path he wants to take." Robert shifted, clearly taken aback by the way Emma confronted his father, but grateful for her courage. "Dad, please. Can't we try again? Just this once?" The older man seemed to deflate slightly, his stern front wavering under the intensity of the moment. "You think I want this?" he countered, his voice dropping in pitch. "I'm trying to protect you. It's not about just me. It's about the legacy of our family." "But what if the legacy is holding me back?" Robert replied, his frustration turning into a plea. "What if chasing an empire leaves me empty inside? I want to be happy, even if it means starting small." "You think small is enough?" his father challenged, though the fight in his voice gave way to fatigue. Emma sensed a shift. This wasn't just a confrontation. It was a crossroads. "It's not about small or big," she interjected softly. "It's about what makes us feel alive. What makes us wake up and say, today, I'm living for me." For a long moment, silence enveloped them again, heavy but filled with unspoken realizations. Emma's heart raced, and the clink of dishes and the chatter of other diners faded into the background. Robert's father appeared to be weighing her words, the tension around him loosening just a bit. "Life isn't just about winning or losing," she continued, summoning a gentle urgency. "It's about experiences, the connections we make, and the richness that comes from living authentically. You loved him enough to raise him, but do you love him enough to let him be who he wants to be?" Robert looked at Emma, his eyes shimmering with hope. She could feel the depth of their shared purpose, the desire to break free from the shackles of expectations. His father's gaze softened as he wrestled with his thoughts, caught between fatherly instincts and the fear of failure. The longer he hesitated, the more vulnerable he seemed. I worry," he finally admitted, his voice cracking with uncharacteristic tenderness. "I want what is best for you." "What is best for me?" Robert echoed, his voice thick with emotion. "Or what you believe is best. That's the difference we need to talk about." The air turned electric with the gravity of their exchange. Emma could taste hope lingering on the precipice, vibrant and aching with possibility. "I don't want to let my father down, but I also can't lose myself," Robert added, vulnerability etched into his features. Emma urged the moment forward, knowing time was slipping. "What if we take it one step at a time? What if Robert starts with a small bar, and you support him, just to see? It doesn't he have to be an all-or-nothing gamble? His father glanced between them, eyes shifting as if searching for a sign. You're sure this is what you want? He murmured to Robert, the weight of his expectations now crumbling beneath the present moment. Yes, Robert whispered, the conviction rushing back in. I have to believe in myself. If you want tea, then I will. The older man finally wavered, uncertainty flickering like candlelight. Emma felt the world slowed down, all three caught within a single heartbeat. Would this be the moment they broke through? But before Robert's father could reply, Emma noticed a figure at the entrance. A man in a tailored suit, his presence undeniable. The bar's owner, poised, yet rooted in tension, stepped through the doorway with an air of authority. The mood shifted again, and Emma's heart sank. The conversation was close. They were so close. But now shadows of the external world were stretching in. What was this new arrival going to mean for them? As the owner approached, Robert and his father remained locked in a silent battle, each refusing to look away. Emma felt the dread creep in. Would they lose this moment of connection over something they couldn't control? Gentlemen, the new arrival called, his voice booming. I have some important news that could change everything. The bar owner's voice echoed in the air, a disruptive force. Robert's father turned sharply, his brow furrowed with curiosity. Robert, caught between determination and dread, instinctively closed himself off, retreating into old patterns. Emma's heart raced. She had felt the moment slipping, and now all she could do was watch. Change everything? Robert echoed, anxiety lacing his voice. What do you mean? The owner, who bore the kind of confidence that demanded attention, stepped closer. Despite the thrumming tension, there was an air of promise to his presence. I've decided to expand the business, he announced, his gaze sweeping over the two men. And I need a partner. Emma felt the shift in the atmosphere, as if potential was suddenly tangible. Robert's father straightened, intrigued, while Robert's eyes widened with a mixture of caution and curiosity. A partner? Robert asked, a hint of hope creeping back into his voice. In what way? The owner smiled, revealing a row of perfectly aligned teeth. A small bar, as discussed, mixed with something more unique, he explained. It'll be a place for locals, a community hub with heart. I think this could be a chance for you to test your vision, Robert. Emma watched Robert process the offer. The thrill of possibility swirled in the air, but she sensed the weight of his hesitation. Would this be the moment to seize? Or would fear pull him back into the shadows? And what's in it for you? Robert's father asked, skepticism coloring his tone. Why risk your reputation on a rookie? The bar owner flicked his gaze to Robert, then looked back at his father. I believe in potential, he replied confidently. And Robert's got that. He'll bring freshness to the project. Besides, this town needs something new. I'd gamble on that. Emma felt a surge of adrenaline. It was the kind of reckless hope that kept her heart beating fast. You could have a shot at your dream, Robert, she whispered, her voice barely audible over the buzzing chatter. This is what you wanted, isn't it? Robert's father remained quiet, a whirlwind of emotions flashing across his face. The walls he had built around his notions of legacy felt like they were trembling. A palpable silence engulfed the table as Robert took a deep breath. It's a great opportunity, he finally said, his voice steady. But I need to make it clear that this is my vision. If you're going to support me, the owner nodded, eager. Absolutely. This can be all about collaboration, Robert. As Robert contemplated the offer, Emma leaned closer, her heart swelling with resolve. It's time to forge your own path. You can do this. The air crackled with urgency and possibility, filling the space around them like vibrating strings about to break free. Robert looked toward his father, searching for understanding, a connection buried beneath layers of years spent in silence. "Will you stand by me?" Robert asked, vulnerability creeping into his tone. The moment hung suspended, fragile and charged, each heartbeat echoing their histories. Robert's father stared hard at his son, the corners of his mouth twitching as if battling an internal storm. "I need time to think," the older man finally admitted, though his voice was quieter now, almost like a whisper against the storm of emotions. Emma's heart sank slightly, but she held on to hope, knowing that nothing was ever truly lost. Anything could spark a change, given the right conditions. "You don't have to do this alone, Dad," Robert urged, desperation kicking in. "I need you to see me." As they locked eyes, an understanding flickered, almost like the beginning of a bridge being built between their hearts. But just then, another figure loomed in the background, a woman with fiery red hair and an unmistakably determined stance. "What is this about a partnership in a bar?" she called out, her confidence piercing the tension surrounding the booth. Robert, Emma, and his father turned to face her, the new arrival already rewriting the narrative. As shadows danced and possibilities intertwined, Emma wondered if this fresh face would forge a path forward or further entangle them in uncertainty. What were her intentions? Would she bring a fresh perspective, or complicate the tangled web they were already navigating? Emma felt another wave of fear wash over her, and yet, a flicker of excitement in that unknown could also hold the key to future revelations. Robert felt the weight of 1,000 emotions clashing inside him. The stranger's arrival was a jolt, a shake-up that sent ripples through the fragile tension hanging in the air. He only had a second to process who she was before she collected herself, marched over, and engaged their booth with fierce energy. "I'm here to help you catalyze that partnership. Capable hands can always do better." Robert blinked in surprise, still caught between excitement and dread. Who was she? He could see the shared spark within her fiery expression. Was she another potential roadblock, or a guiding light? The exchange that followed was a whirlwind. "What expertise do you have in this area?" Robert's father spat, skepticism flooding his tone. "Expertise?" she echoed, a hint of laughter glimmering in her eyes. "I'm the community. I ran a local bar last year, hired on passion and grit, and I know the pulse of what people want. I can fill this new venture with heart, and this town desperately needs it. So what are you waiting for?" There was something intoxicating in her energy, a match striking against years of fatigue. The restaurant around them brightened, as if the new arrival brought a spark just by existing. Emma couldn't help but smile as she watched Robert take a moment, considering what this woman offered. It felt like the tide turning. There was so much possibility waiting to be unlocked. Robert's gaze drifted to her, and for a brief instant, they shared understanding. "I think," Robert started, his words careful yet resolute. "I think it's time we stopped worrying about expectations and began creating something real. The diner taught me that." Suddenly, he turned back to the woman, excitement threading through his voice. "If we can combine our strengths, we truly could make something special." "Exactly," she explained, her enthusiasm infectious. "Let us reignite the love for our community. It can be more than a bar, it can become a gathering place, filled with life and laughter." His father's face contorted with disbelief, but also, just maybe, a hint of curiosity. "You all need to understand what's at stake." "What is at stake?" Robert interrupted, fire lighting his words. "This is about something greater than legacy. It's about joy and the connections that actually matter." The restaurant buzzed around them, clinking glasses and laughter breaking through the tension that had lingered like a heavy fog. Emma could feel the community holding its breath, waiting, just as she was. Robert's father shifted, his posture loosening, and for the first time, doubt slipped into his gaze. "You really think the three of you can manage something so ambitious?" "Yes," Robert asserted, his voice steady. "It's not just ambition. It's a commitment to our town, to each other. Emma's heart swelled, her own voice joining the conversation. You have to give him a shot. He deserves a chance to prove there's life beyond what you built for him. Let him stand on his own. The moment Robert and his father stared at each other, each locked in a challenge, the space between them echoing with unspoken acceptance. The walls began to crack. Emma could see it. Perhaps I've been too close to the forest to see the trees, Robert's father finally replied, his tone uncharacteristically soft. But it still doesn't erase the fact that legacies mean more than just dreams. We are a family. We should uphold that. Then support Robert in building his own legacy, Emma added. You can still guide him, that doesn't mean you control him. I'll think about it, the older man replied, sighing. Hope shone in Robert's eyes as they broke the silence. I wouldn't have asked this if it weren't important. But this partnership, it can mean something for our future, all of us together. With a deep breath, Robert's father finally nodded, taking a step back, the weight of his old resolve visibly lifting. Make it a great place, son, he said quietly before turning to leave. Invest in it. I want to see it thrive. With every word spoken, the air felt lighter, and an energetic pulse hummed through the diner. The tension faded, leaving a space filled with potential and dreams, a new understanding blossoming among the trio. There is something beautiful happening here, Emma said, feeling a radiant smile spread across her face. We're all breaking free together. Robert grinned, feeling lighter than he had in years. With a little grit and a lot of heart, we can create something amazing. As the three talked excitedly about the venture ahead, Emma felt warmth enveloping her, like a soft embrace. Here's to new beginnings, the fiery-haired woman exclaimed, raising her glass and bringing the community together in a toast. Cheers erupted, the diner rumbled with life, and at that moment, the rain outside melted away as the clouds dispersed. They had done it. They faced fear, embraced change, and found strength in unity. Emma looked around at the smiling faces, each one filled with joy, a reassurance that together they could weather any storm. And as Robert caught her eye, both of them knowing this was a step toward not just building a business, but forging bonds that would last a lifetime. Emma's heart swelled. They were all in this together. Now, it's time for you to be a part of this journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and show your support. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this ending. Let's celebrate this transformation together. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this moment of hope and community. You need to support the channel. It means everything.